Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today on the Engineering and Manufacturing T level. Just got a couple of more attendees that's joining us, so we will take it a bit slow. Just to give you an overview, if you're already engaged with City and Girls regarding this T level development, then you do not need to stay on to this webinar, because this is just going through original stuff that we've previously discussed previously. If not, then please stay on for the duration. Any questions, then please put them into the chat, and then we will answer them shortly on the screen. Thank you. So as I said previously, this is for the Engineering and Manufacturing T level, and we're going to give you an overview of the technical qualification, and this is for new providers who will be delivering T levels from September 2022. We have got two of my colleagues on the call. I've got Michael Scarrett and Robert Stott, and they will be answering any questions throughout the webinar. If not, we can do these right at the end. That's not a problem. You're all being set to mute. But again, if you want to speak at the end when you do our question and answer session, then do raise your hand and then we can unmute you and you can talk to us direct. And then after the event, we will be sharing these resources. So you will receive an email which will have a CPD certificate, a copy of the recordings, and then also later on, you'll be able to access these PowerPoint presentation slides through our website as well. For those who hasn't joined us previously, so this is the Engineering Manufacturing T-level team who's been working on this qualification. So therefore, there's myself, Samantha Ashman, who's the Technical Advisor for Engineering, and I've been working with the T-level development. My colleague, Simon York, is our Lead Technical Advisor, and he's been looking after our apprenticeship, endpoint assessment and qualifications that we do offer at City and Girls. And then we also have Alison Whittle, who's our Technical Advisor for our Post-16 qualification, and she's been working closely with our HEIs. For the industry side, we've got Robert Stott, who's on the call today, and he will be going through some presentation slides shortly. And he's our industry manager, and he's been working with our employers regarding the T-level development. And then we've also got Scott Wilkins as well, who's also our industry manager, and he's been working with employers regarding our other qualifications that we do offer at City and Girls. And in this collaboration of working closely with EAL, we've got Michael Scarrett, who's also on the call today, and he's our product specialist as well. So we've got a big agenda today, as you may well see on that screen. So just going to look at that pathway for what that T-level is going to be looking like. We're then going to look at the structure of the assessment and the core component and how it splits into sections. We've got a bit of information regarding the employer Sept project and what it's about. We'll then look at one particular occupational specialism, and we will be doing several webinars in January regarding different occupational specialisms in the different pathways. Just touch on industrial placement, what the available resource we've got, and then Q&A right at the end. So what I'd like you to do is pass over to Robert Stott, who's going to go through the composite of the Engineering Manufacturing T-level. Over to you, Robert.
Hi, thanks, Sam. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so I'm just going to take you through the composition of the Engineering and Manufacturing T-levels. Now, as you all will be aware, it's equivalent to 3 A-levels, and it does attract UCAS points to enable that HE progression, the valid progression route as well. Now, it's a level 3 qualification, and it is a duration of two years. Now, the T-levels are split. Obviously, it's a 2-year program into 2 halves. So in your first half, which is year 1, it will be the engineering core component. Now that is externally set by us at City and Girls and externally marked by our assessment. So there'll be 3 assessments for that. Now we have paper 1, which is your maths and science. Paper 2, which is your engineering concepts. So for example, health and safety, engineering drawing, project management. So we call that engineering concepts, that's paper 2. And then your employer set project. So that makes up the core component. Now that is graded A to E. overall for those 3 examinations. It's important to remember as well, although it's an employer set project, it's an employer scenario, so it's not linked to an employer as such. It's just a scenario. So there's 35% weighting for that paper 1 and paper 2, leaving that final 30% for that employer set project. So that very much makes up that year 1, so the engineering core component. Moving on to year 2, this is where learners will specialise into an occupational specialism. So currently with engineering manufacturing, there's 13 different specialisms. So a learner will move on to a specialism. They'll only do 1 specialism. Now it's up to the centres to understand, or to understand what occupational specialism they would like to deliver. Some centres can choose to deliver multiple specialisms. They might just focus on the one, and it very much depends on that surrounding area and obviously the centre resources to support that occupational specialism. But learners will only do 1 of those occupational specialisms, and that's assessed by a practical, so a synoptic assessment, which will be done at the end of that year 2. So it'll be marked by an assessor in the centre, and obviously will be sampled by us at Sitting Girls. Other than that's the technical qualification. Falling outside of that technical qualification is the industry placement. So currently at 45 days, a minimum of 45 days, and how that is delivered is up to the centre and the employer to come together. You know, we've got centres who have said they prefer the block delivery option. We've got centres who possibly prefer the day release option. As an apprentice comes to the centre, a T-level learner will go to the business. Like I say, lots of flexibility in that. As long as that 45 days is done over the duration of the 2 years, that will tick the industry placement the box. Maths and English must be done. We do recommend that Maths and English is achieved prior to entering an engineering manufacturing T-level, due to obviously it's level 3 Maths and Science, and because the core, the technical qualification is larger than qualifications currently on the market. So just trying to fit that Maths and English will be a challenge. So we're saying that it is recommended that they do have that Maths and English prior. But as the Institute do say, it's as long as they have it when they exit the T-level, that should be sufficient, as an overarching comment. Obviously, centres will do, you will be still doing your employability, your tutorials, your enrichment, pastoral, which you currently do as it is. So they will still take place on the T-level as well. There's 150 hours allocated to the total qualification time, or GLH, for the engineering manufacturing in T-level. So that's just very much, you know, composition of the T-levels over the 2 years and the elements required to achieve the T-level. Next slide, please, Sam. So engineering manufacturing consists of 3 T-levels. So we have the design and development for engineering and manufacturing. We're also known as D&D. We've got maintenance, installation and repair for engineering and manufacturing, known as MIR, and engineering manufacturing processing and control, known as MPC. It's just worth noting as well, the engineering core component is the same regardless of T-level that you choose within engineering manufacturing or occupational specialism. So the core component is that year 1 study programme, and that is the same across the three T-levels. So next slide, please, Sam. So let's just have a look at actually the occupational specialism. So a learner will select 1 occupational specialism, and within design and development, there's four options: mechanical engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, control and instrumentation, and structural engineering. So those are the 4 occupational specialisms that lie within design and development T-level. Next slide, please, Sam. Thank you. So looking at maintenance, installation and repair, there's 5 occupational specialisms that fall within this pathway, and there's mechanical, mechatronic, electrical and electronic, control and instrumentation, and light and electric vehicle. There's quite a lot of work going on behind the scenes regarding light and electric vehicle. Once the original outline content got developed by the employer panels, that came to us. It was quickly highlighted by yourselves, the providers, and our employers as well, that it was missing, the hybrid technology, the electrical, the light and electric vehicle technology. So we went away, we redesigned that, the content in that, the assessments, to ensure that it was future-proof, it was aligned to industry, which is what these qualifications will be. So that's really delayed us a little bit to this point now, but we feel it's very, very important that we get that content right within each of these. So that's just a little bit of the background within the light and electric vehicle, but we're now at a point now where it's got all this this new technology, hybrid technology, which we feel it's much needed within that specialism. So there's 5 specialisms there which fall within the maintenance, installation and repair. So just moving on, next slide please, Sam. So looking at the MPC, Manufacturing Processing Control, there's 4 specialisms that fall within this one. And again, really just looking at the outline content that we originally got, there's a lot of work going on prior to this point now, looking at the content. There have been some name changes within MPC, but these are the final names. So we have fitting and assembly, machining and tool making, composite manufacturing technologies, and fabrication and welding technologies. So each of the specialisms are 680 guided learning hours, as well as the core component as well being 680 guided learning hours for the core, 600 for the occupational specialisms. Next slide please, Sam. So that's back over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Rob. We're now just going to look at the technical qualification itself and look through the structure and assessment of the core component. So as Rob previously stated at the beginning, the T-level must have a 50-50 split. So the core has been allocated as 50%, so that's 640 guided learning hours, and the core will be graded at A star to E. The occupational specialism to get into that T-level duration is also split at 50%, so therefore we've added 640 guided learning hours, and that will be graded at pass, merit and distinction. When we add the core and the occupational specialisms together, the T-level learner will then come out with an overall grade of pass, merit and distinction. So how does that core split up then? So that core is split up into 3 sections. We have 2 examinations and an employee set project. So both examination papers are weighted at 35%, and the employee set project is weighted at 30%. We're just going to have a look at that in a bit more detail. So as you can see on screen, this is a screenshot of what the engineering core content looks like. This is taken from our draft specification, which is live on our website. And what it does on there, you've got a guided learning hours in there, and also it then specifies in there of where they're developing their knowledge and understanding of their skills. And as you can see within that area, we've got the understanding of business management, project management skills, etc., and what the different sectors look like in engineering. We then look into that a little bit more detail and how we look how we interpret this qualification handbook. And as you can see, the qualification handbook, we've got this learning outcome, which is working with the engineering and manufacturing sector. We've got 1.1, which is that's a specification topic, and that's what the criteria needs. So looking at the key principles and methodologies in engineering and manufacturing design. And then under that 1.1, we've got something called the range. And the range is what we classed as our detailed information, what needs to be required to deliver part of that topic and programme. So part of one section is called the types of manufacturing processing, and we'd expect Centre to deliver those in that bracket. So wasting, forming, shaping, joining, finishing, casting, and additives, etc. In addition to that, we have got that pink section down at the bottom called What Do Learners Need to Learn? And that's the primary section of what we're going to assess that context on regarding those core examinations. And it also provides context regarding the depth and breadth on which the subject needs to be taught to. So in other words, the question on there is, how do different types of manufacturing processes influence design of engineering products? And as you can see, you've got the questions above in the range about design of products. In addition to that, we've got this section called the skills area. And those skills have these different grades. So you've got DD, CSA, DD, CSC, DD, CSD. And they're the core skills. And that'd be like core skills in section A, B, C, and D. And that's in the specification. You'll also see related to core skills into English, maths, and digital skills. And that's clearly identified in the handbook, qualification handbook. So that just gives in how we set our handbook and how we look at the specification, what's actually live on what's on our website at the minute under the draft spec. So for the core, technical core components, and these are to be delivered within that first year, ready to sit that paper 1 and paper 2. So we've got the nice ones that we would expect Centre to deliver in the first 6 weeks of inductions, such as working with the engineering manufacturing sector. So that section there gives an overview of what does design and development is, what is manufacturing process control, and what is engineering manufacturing processing and control as well. Get it right in a minute. And then we've got the past, present, and future in there as well. So what we can see is within that's elements 1 and 2, nicely put together. We can see that this might give an introduction of what learners may need to learn, and also what type of occupational specialism they like to select in their second year. We then got the maths and science, and the maths and science has been really validated and scrutinised by the higher educations as we've been working on that content as well. So as you can see, that's where the A star to E comes along from. And then we've got some general softer skills units such as health and safety, business, stock control and assets, project, etc. So that gives us 17 elements that needs to be delivered. So the core content of the examination, how we split it. So as you can see in paper 1, we've got all the maths and science. We call that the maths and science principles for engineering. And that gives us 6 elements. And that exam paper will be sat for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Paper 2 is all about the general engineering in a context. So drawing, quality management, health and safety, etc. And again, there's 11 elements in that paper. And again, we'll be sat for the duration of 2 hours and 30 minutes. So you can see how those papers has been split. So looking at the core exam papers. So these are just a couple of questions that we've been using in our validation sessions regarding what the exam papers may look for a learner. So these are just some example questions that you may see. So question 7, we've got a bit of trigonometry on there. Question 17, we've got a bit about materials in there. And then question 4, we've got a mechanical principles in there as well. So you can see how the paper's been put together. So that gives an overview of what the core looks like. And that core is the same core across all pathways for engineering. So we're now just going to look at the Technical Qualification Scheme Handbook of Assessments. So exam paper 1, as we said previously, for design and development pathway, is still that under 2.5 hours, 35% weighting. Same for exam paper 2 and same for employee set project. The occupational specialism for design and development, so mechanical, electrical, control and structural, their practical assessment is going to be duration of 34 hours. And that is marked at 90 marks and a weighting of 100%. And again, that is going to be marked by yourselves and externally moderated by us at City and Guilds EAL. And that will then get awarded the pass merit distinction. Where exam paper 1 and 2, we will mark those in the examination series. And then also for the employer set project, that is set by us at City and Guilds, validated by employers, and then marked by us as well. And that when we put those 3 parts together, we then get the grade of A star to E. And that's for the design and development pathway. For the maintenance, installation and repair pathway, same exam paper. The only difference in this paper is that the employee Sept project is related to maintenance, installation and repair. Then the occupational specialism for mechanical, mechatronics, electrical electronics, control instrumentation and light and electric vehicles. This section has a duration of 22 hours for their practical assessment. And same process regarding marking and moderating. For manufacturing process control, exactly the same again for the paper 1 and paper 2, except the employee Sept project for this is also based on manufacturing process control pathway, so a different project. And then the occupational specialist has different hours and different durations. So fitting assembly is 25 hours and 15, machine and tool making is 25 and 15, composites is 24 hours and 15, and the fab and weld unit is 26 hours and 15. So within that area, that different specialists within that area, they've got different durations. But again, it's still marked as pass, merit and distinction. So I'm just going to pass you back over to Rob, who's going to talk about the employee Sept project. Over to you, Rob.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, can you just move on to the next slide, please, Sam? Thanks. Right, so we're just going to look at the employee Sept project. As I previously did state earlier on, the employee Sept project is an employee scenario. So, for example, for design and development, you'll get given a design scenario, and learners will be expected to come up with a suitable alternative to the one given on the scenario. So, Sam, I don't know if you can move across to the next slide, because it does have an example on. Please, if that's okay. Yeah, thank you. So if you just look at the one that's on the screen, this is from the design and development specification. So this is a sample assessment. So learners will be given this, and the idea is learners will be expected to read the design brief, the design specification. In this case, it's looking at a bollard, which will be situated outside a train station. It gives you an example, as you can see on the screen there. And learners will be expected to carry out some research to come up with an alternative bollard as to the design specification. So it must be a certain height, it must be energy efficient, it must be used from recycled or sustainable materials, it must be fitted with technology to indicate how many people have passed through a certain area at a given time. So learners will be expected to carry out research into different types of bollards. And then moving on to task 2, looking at the designs that they've created, move one forward. So obviously justify which is the one that's going to move forward and further develop that design. Then they get given a scenario as if they're going to mass produce this. So they need to look at costings, they need to look at the projects, they need to create like Gantt charts, for example, different types of maybe issues that could come up over the duration of the contract with this given employer. So carrying out critical path analysis, any health and safety, looking at some standards, any specialist equipment, waste management, etc. And then they have to present this then in terms of to the employer, because that's the project, looking at presenting this in suitable documentation, so creating some design briefs, costings, etc. So fully justifying the choice for this new bollard. Obviously, this is just from the design and development. As you do move on to the maintenance, installation, repair, the tasks will stay the same, but the scenarios do differ. Obviously, this is a design task. Moving on to the maintenance pathway, there will be a maintenance scenario, and then obviously the manufacturing, there will be a manufacturing scenario as well. So the scenarios do differ, but the work that is produced will be the same. So that's just a little bit about the employer Sept projects. Now again, we've got examples on each of the assessments for each of the pathways. So please feel free to reach out if you've not currently seen those. More than happy to share. those sample assessments. We've got sample assessments across not just the ESP but the core and the occupational specialisms as well. Next slide, please, Sam. Back over to you.
Thank you, Rob. So we're now going to look at the occupational specialism. We will be doing some webinars in January regarding these occupational specialisms, but this is just going to give you a brief overview of what an occupational specialism would look like. So what we have done, this is taken from the specification, so the draft specification, and this just gives you an idea what the occupational specialism is. This is for the design and development area, and this is just the mechanical section we're going to be looking at. So in the draft specification, it says that the occupational specialist assignment is externally set and externally moderated. It will be released between the end of the learner's programme, the week before Easter each year. Centres got to be required to maintain the security of live assessment material, so therefore it's going to be password protected. We will give you some guidance on equipment and resource and duration, so you can get that planned and ready to give it that practical advance. Learners who fail that occupational specialism in the first submission can then retake it in the assessment windows, what's going to be made available. And then we're also going to provide you some guidance of how to support the marking of this occupational specialist assignment. So with the mechanical engineering, you see on the screen, it's going to be about analysing, evaluating, proposing design, collaboration and communicating proposals. And that's the main topic areas, those 5 bullet points is what the learners will need to complete on this assessment. So for the mechanical assessment, and these are different in different sections, so when you do look at the specification, just please read to find out what they are. So for mechanical, they have to do about health and safety, design and planning, manufacturing, and then producing a report. Excuse me. So this is an example of a design and development mechanical assignment brief. So as you can see, we've got the assignment brief, all to do with industry based. So it tells you that it's going to be employed by an engineering company, large store area to parts of material. You've been asked to design a manually powered mechanical lifting design. And we've got a figure illustration down there below. We then got some design criteria. So within the design criteria, the device must be capable of lifting a cuboid box, and it gives some maximum width, depth and height. Maximum mass, 25 kilograms. Surface of the lifting platform must be level. A human worker must be able to pull the box onto the lifting platform. Lifting must be carried out safely, and the lifting device must be manually powered. So there's some selection of design criteria that will be set in the brief what the learners need to do. And again, as what Rob said previously, we've got some sample OS assessments as well for all these pathways. So within the mechanical OS practical, we've got a task 1, which is a designing. And again, it tells you what part A is, what they need to do in those parts, how they need to do it. It's got the condition of the assessment, and it's got to be controlling control conditions and allocated of time. We then got this manufacturing the test part. So they've got to produce a prototype of this test and allocation of how it's going to be, on different types of assessment evidence to be produced. And then we've got the evaluation implementation section as well within this assessment as well. So it tells you what sections need to be reported and everything else. And all that lot will be then marked by yourselves and then moderated by us at City and Guilds. So that just gives us a quick overview of what the core, the Employee Sept project and the occupational specialism is about. We are producing GSEMs, so these are guided sample assessment materials, and if any centre wants to get involved in that, then please do let us know. So for example, on the design and development mechanical, I'll just re-put back to that slide so you can see it. We are producing a sample assessment material for this particular assignment brief, and it will have in these sample materials we will have a pass learner, and we'll also have a distinction learner available, so you can see what's the difference between those, what evidence we're expecting to see. So if you want to get involved in that, then please do let us know. It's employer focused and can be across 2 employers. Industry places that see fit well for the actual T-level that they are studying. Support the employer during providers. Yourselves are going to support those employers who are going to offer in those industry placements. And then we've also got paperwork and everything that needs to be submitted to the Institute as well be made available. And for further guidance, if you go onto that website there, industry placement guidance, when you get your slides, you'll be able to click on that link and it will also tell you to what the industry placement is and a bit more detail as well. They are looking at, so currently for wave 1 and wave 2, they have put some sanctions in regarding industry placement. So some of it can be done in centre now. We're still waiting to see what's happening in wave 3 because this T-level is not being delivered until September 2022. So this industry placement guidance link will be updated for when we release for engineering and manufacturing T-level. To support centres, AOC has got some lovely information that's been made available for centres and some nice guidance as well. So you've got some provider guidance of how to do your placements, how to engage students and parents to guardians regarding T-levels and employee engagement as well. So these are really good information that's made available for providers to look at. And again, if you click on that link there, you will then be able to go directly to the resources that's been provided by the AOC. So that's been really good and supportive for everyone. Also at City and Girls and EAL, we've got different ways how we can support you. So we've got a blended approach to communication. So each month we can send you e-bulletins out and contents of what's happening. So when you do go on our T-level landing page, it is one area direct to contact us. If you fill in your details there, then you'll be on our mailing list, and any information that comes up regarding the development of this T-level and the next events, that will come straight out to you. You've also got, we're going to start doing some networks and events, face-to-face or online events as well. A couple of centres who I've been working with request visits to go to centre. So if you fancy a centre visit by myself to go through T-levels and the spec itself, then do get in touch. Because I am available to do that. And then also we've got our website across City and Girls and EAL that we update regular with what events are coming up, what resources are available, and any information that we'd like to share with you. And in addition to all that, we have got the webinars that will be coming up as well. So this is the website screen print of the engineering and manufacturing from the City and Girls page. And if you go to T-levels at the top and then go straight down to the bottom, it says engineering manufacturing, and then you see what we've got made available. So we've been updating this regular. We've got a timeline, which I'll show you later. We're going to have some provider focus groups, just discuss about the resources and a bit of collaboration. Employers have an employee industry board. They meet up. Rob works with the employees on that side. So if any of your employees wants to engage with that, then please do shout out to myself or Rob, and we can then invite them to our industry boards. We've got e-bulletins that comes out, and that just gives an update where we are and what's been released. Our draft specifications are on our website, and we're hoping to get that shortly released, but we're still waiting for the Institute to sign and prove that off. So please check our website for updates. And then again, you've got myself who's dedicated for this T-level for any information and support on how to interpret the specifications as well. And again, you click on that link there and it goes directly onto the provider section of our T-level. So as we said, we've got the draft specifications, and you can click on those links and that will put you back onto the actual specification in the PDF files. And again, it's highlighted in the box what says draft specifications as well on that screenshot. These will then be changed to specifications, not draft. So you'll be able to see how they go up and down as well. So again, different areas within the T-level itself, you can click on those links, what's being advertised and shown, and they will take you directly to that site as well. We have our 12-month countdown. So in November, as you can see on this box here, the November box, we've got our familiarisation event, which we've just done today. We've done the core and the high level review of the assessment. We should have been in a quarterly e-bulletin published, but again, if we are waiting for the Institute to update us regarding our specifications, so that may be moved to January. And then in January, we'll then be starting doing approval support webinars to get approval to deliver T-level through us and to get approved to become approved centre. And then also we've then got our familiarisation event looking at each individual pathways and their occupational specialism. So in other words, how to interpret the occupational specialist content, what is required, and some examples of what some assessments will look like as well. So they will be coming up in January, so please look out for latest links on that. If you've got learners or you're recruiting or working closely with schools and they're thinking about going on to T-level for September, then we've provided this T-level Learner Flyer link. You can click on that link again and you can download it. That link will then give you a 3-page document of what a T-level is, what are the UCAS grades, who's the employees we've been working with, and the different pathways as well. So it's really informative flyer that can be used and shared and printed off. So as we said previously, we've got some resource development sessions, we've got some more curriculum planning. In the background, we've been working on how we can put those 17 units into an academic year. So we have been working on that and we'd like to share that with some of you, see if that works well. We're going to have to do some workshops. So this one has been the core, including the Employer Sept project. And then the next workshop we will be doing will be our occupational specialists. And that will be for all pathways. We're then going to do teaching and learning support for exam components. So other words, looking at the exam section a bit more detail, not just those screen prints and how we would expect how to teach that section. Again, face-to-face events, centre face-to-face events as well. And we're hoping to get some network events coming in as well. So please look out for those. And then sometime around about February onwards, we've got a Ask a T-level expert question session. So otherwise a drop-in session where you can ask us anything regarding the T-level and what's happening. So from our last webinar that we did in October, the government is updated regarding industry placements. So as you can see on the link on the screens, industry placement has been updated. That was from the 4th of November. And so as introduction T-levels and as well as the funding updates as well. So in other words, it classes where this T-level fits in and what type of funding you're going to be getting. So it's classed in the large section of a T-level for funding. So centres will then receive over 2 years, £11,168. So we can see where it's on there as well. Loads of resources that's been coming through. The DFE and ETF has also been working closely together. So you've got some links to some ETF training courses that's coming along line. And then also this one here, supporting with delivering networks. That's the new updated government website. And there's one section for providers and there's also one section for employers as well. So it's really good to look on that site and see what other resources are made available. So without this T-level, we need providers, and then we also need different people to come and join us. So us at City and Guilds EAO, we're looking for T-level associate vacancies. So these T-level associates are going to be either moderators and principal moderators for the occupational specialism within the T-level. We've got technical qualification associates, and that's what we're recruiting on now. For each pathway. So in other words, a technical qualification associate will go out and see centres, look at the resources, support that centre as well. And then we've also got examiners and consultants as well. So if you fancy working with us on the T level or working throughout the programme, then please do go onto our associate website vacancy or click on the link below. And you then be able to see information regarding the details about different types of vacancies we have at City and Guilds. So that comes to the end of the presentation and the webinar, and I'd like to say thank you for joining us. We've now got the opportunity to answer any questions that we've not already done in the chat. So Mike, Rob, any questions that we've missed off the chat, or if anyone wants to go onto the screen or speak to us, then please do so.
Hi, Sam, you all right? Yeah, a couple of questions just regarding, it's probably worth just flagging really, will teaching staff need the relevant industry experience to deliver the units? I suppose that's looking at the OS units, OS specialisms.
So yeah, so what we've put in our specification is we've said regarding relevant industry experience regarding that occupational specialism area for those teaching staff. And then if they are working towards an assessor's award, then that is something that we also consider as well. We've not specified what type of industry experience they need, but we've also said up to the qualifications that what they'll be delivering as well.
Yeah, thank you. There's another question, it's probably just for mention as well. So do learners draw on knowledge taught and examined papers 1 and 2 for the 17 core units to complete the employee set project? So there'd be no specific delivery requirements for the employee set project. So I think that has been answered in the chat. So the ESP does form part of the core component and will be obviously assessed via ourselves, Sitting Girls. But yeah, it does form part of that core component, so it should be delivered as normal as per core component specification.
Yeah, and with the employee set project as well, when we start releasing, if you want to have a look at the draft of one of these, and we do say where it relates to. So if the employee set project covers like health and safety, engineering drawing, maths and science, for example, we will then specify what type of that area of that core that covers that ESP as well. So you can have a look at those. I think we've got one on here is that the draft specification on the 17 corners stay the same for the final spec. Yeah, we don't think there's going to be much change in that area. If there is, there'd be minimum changes. But again, we're still waiting for the Institute to fully release the T level for Wave 3. So not just for engineering, we've also got management and administration as well. And we're still waiting for that final information letter from the Institute that will be sent to employers and providers regarding that these T levels are live. So we're just waiting on that part. I think we've got one on here.
Yeah, sorry, Sam. Yeah, another question there at the bottom, just asking about the exam window. As you mentioned March to May. Do we have any more idea of understanding about the exam windows at this point in time?
So if you look at the construction and the BSc T level on our website at the minute, we've got an examination timetable and tells you when they're going to be released. So if you look at that, you can then compare it to when engineering is. Mainly the employer set projects around about March time, and then the core examinations will be then done in the GCSE and A-level series windows. So that's usually about first or second week of May, beginning of June. So that's when that will be for those exam windows for that core part. So we'll be following the GCSE and A-levels for the core exams. Year two unit. So we're saying that the occupational specialism could be delivered in year 2. That doesn't have to be fully covered before they sit the core exams. So if you want to deliver the occupational specialism in year 1, you can do, but it won't be assessed until year 2. Someone asked us regarding books to be published. We're working with Hodder Publications. It's going to be the core, some of the core information. But again, we have released the core information, core like schemes of work and lesson plans and PowerPoint presentations for BSc construction, and that's available on our website. So if you want to look at those, this is how engineering is going to be looking as well. So we will be shortly releasing that information as well. But again, we're working with Hodder regarding the engineering manufacturing T-level for publication.
Sam, if I can just add to that as well, as well as the Hodder resources, there'll be a lot of free resources as well developed, as there is for Wave 2 BSc construction. So lots of resources on there, which will be free on the website, basically, for providers.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Mike. One's just come in. So we will have to deliver all the core by the time the ESP is released. No, not really. The ESP is regarding their understanding and some of the areas. What we will do is we will release sample assignments and sample assessments regarding the ESP, and then see how it works on that. Currently, construction and BSc are in the first year of delivery, and we will see when they release their ESP to see how it will affect engineering. So no, you won't have to deliver all that core. We won't expect them to deliver all that core in that time. Mike or Rob, have you anything regarding the ESP for delivery as well?
Yeah, just to add, really, obviously the ESP window is over a period of time, so it's not set for a day or a week even. It's over quite a number of weeks really. It is, as you said, split into tasks there as well on that side. But yeah, without a doubt, the core, all of the core, won't have been delivered by the time the employer set project is released.
Brilliant, thank you. Any more questions? No? Okay then. So what I'd like to say is thank you for joining us on this webinar. Please look out for our latest bulletin or looking on our website for the next webinar, and we will be discussing the occupational specialisms for design and development, maintenance, installation, repair, and manufacturing, processing and control. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. Thank you. Goodbye.